Hello, and welcome back to more Films Under Constant Critique, where we take a look at films, some good, some bad, and some downright awful. I am Bongo Baikov, joined by our host, Maverick Drenzaria. This week we're taking a look at what I think is one of the weirder films I've ever seen, Superman 3.
Superman 3, yep, came out June 12th, 1983. Sorry. It premiered June 12th, 1983 in Washington, D.C.
And then came out in the rest of the US about 5 days later.
Yeah, June 17th, 1983. And then in the United Kingdom, July 19th, 1983. And when you said this was one of the weirder movies you've ever seen, you're right.
Just absolutely bizarre.
And I'm going to be honest, I enjoy this one.
No, it is a very enjoyable movie.
It is
I
so
will say.
weird and so insane that I enjoy this movie. And I was wondering, like, when we did this, whether you would hate it or just, like...
I honestly thought it was pretty fun to watch. There were some scenes that I did hate, but
I hated the
overall,
opening. The
really,
opening credits. Yeah, I hated the opening credits. That was...
I kind of enjoyed the opening credits.
It was
Actually,
so... when I was watching the opening credits, I was really worried. Because it was just so slapsticky and just so stupid. I was like, just... Because the opening credits, like, in the first two, the opening credits, they're done over, like, space.
yeah.
Right. But here, like, you got people falling over, you got toy penguins just causing chaos.
Yeah, that part was a little weird. I was like, is the penguin in this movie? Like, what's happening?
And then there's like a mime tripping and some blind guy wandering around destroying things, which made me think of Mr. Magoo or something. It wasn't a good start to the movie.
it was weird.
And Superman like saves a guy from drowning in his
Car. Yeah,
that?
because
But okay, so back on track. Christopher Reeve
finally get the top billing for
finally
a Superman
gets top
movie.
billing, but he shares top billing with Richard Pryor.
Which is just a very interesting casting choice for a Superman movie.
Very interesting. Yeah.
And instead of being like an already existing Superman character,
No.
it's someone that they just completely made up.
They basically just got Richard Pryor and said, hey, play Richard Pryor. And, okay, so, Richard Pryor, he was a huge, famous comedian at the time, In fact, actually, the year before this, he did his concert film, Live on the Sunset Strip, which was the highest grossing concert film of all time at that time. That's how huge he was.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
And it's a pretty funny stand-up routine, too. Really sad, though, because I rewatched that recently. There's, like, this one part where he's talking about there was this horrible accident he was in where he caught on fire, and he did a part of his routine towards the end. He was talking about that, so yeah. You don't get any of that in this movie. Instead, it's just, Richard Pryor freaking out about things.
About, like, literally everything.
There
is nothing that is going okay in this man's life.
There's, like, one part where he, like, just waltzes into a room and he sees himself in the mirror and just jumps back, terrified.
Yeah.
That part I thought was pretty funny, actually.
I'm slightly perplexed because, like, you watch, like, the opening of this movie, or, like, all the early scenes with Richard Pryor, and all of a sudden he, like, hacks his way into the, like, company computer, like, what?
Yeah, because he's depicted as kind of a bumbling buffoon, but he's somehow a computer genius.
Yeah.
Apparently. Which that's another thing about this movie that I kind of like, is just how insane the technology is in this. Because you watch a lot of movies from, like, the 80s and the 90s. Movie studios did not understand computers in
not
the
at
slightest. Like he literally hacks a weather satellite to like
which causes bad weather. It's
that's so insane that I kind of love it actually. Um
So also returning for the movie was Margot Kidder as Lois Lane for all 12 minutes that she's in it.
yeah, she shows up at the very beginning and they basically write her out of the movie by sending her on vacation to Bermuda.
And then she's not seen until the very end.
The very end. She instead in this movie we get Lana Lang because Clark he goes to Smallville to do a story there, and there's a high school reunion going on, and he meets Lana Lang again. And I actually kind of like the scenes of him and Lana.
Yeah, they're pretty good scenes.
I kind of like how it's a reversed a little bit because with Lois like just doesn't care about Clark at all,
Yeah.
but she loves Superman. Whereas here, it's the opposite. Like
Yeah.
Lana, she really likes Clark, but Superman, she just doesn't really care about. Probably because of that creepy scene where he's.
Oh, we'll get to that.
Yeah, we'll get to that. There's, but I thought they had good chemistry in this. Actually,
Yeah, they worked really well together.
You know, I was worried I'd be disappointed that Margot Kidder wasn't in this one, but I actually thought that, you know, Annette O'Toole was good.
Yeah.
I also like how when they're at there's a dance, you know, when at the high school reunion and like the music switches and Clark is like just dancing like crazy, but then the music switches to like a more quiet song and everybody like switches. I thought that was really fun.
Yeah.
And the song is Earth Angel, which was in Back to the Future, which is interesting. You know, it made me think of Back to the Future.
So then as our main villain, we have Robert Vaughn as Ross Webster.
And that's another thing about this movie. They couldn't get Gene Hackman back. Gene Hackman hated Richard Lester, so he refused to be in the movie. So instead you get basically a replacement Lex Luthor, Robert Vaughn.
Yeah, he really is just like another Lex Luthor, but maybe just dumber.
I'm going to be totally honest. I actually really like Robert Vaughn in this movie.
And he has a fun performance.
He's having a lot of fun just playing this total 80s sleazebag. Like, he reminded me a lot of Gordon Gekko from Wall Street. You know, just that, like, whole greed is good mentality. I love how he, like, gets... Like, he, like, wants to run, like, the coffee industry out of business or something.
And then once that fails, he then goes on to oil.
Yeah. He like says at one point, he says, a wise guy once said this, probably Attila the Hun, it is not enough that I succeed, everyone else must fail. And also with all the computer stuff, like, he like wants to use computers like controllers, it also kept making me think of another, some Max Zorin from A View to a Kill.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's the second time we watched a Superman movie and then went, oh yeah, Max Zorin.
It is interesting how similar these villains feel to, like...
Bond villains, yeah.
Yeah, but, like, specifically Roger Moore Bond villains.
Yeah, this movie kind of felt a little bit like a Roger Moore Bond movie.
Yeah.
In some ways. Maybe one of the goofier ones. Because that was another thing. I was like thinking, I was watching this and it has just this really campy tone, this really ridiculous tone. I was wondering, okay, why is it that I dislike so many of the Roger Moore Bond movies, yet I'm enjoying this? Part of it is the reason I don't like a lot of his movies, I just don't like Roger Moore in this.
Yeah.
But I like Christopher Reeve in this. So I think that might be part of it, because I think Christopher Reeve's really good in this. As Superman.
He does a fantastic job, especially. So there's one scene, which we'll get to later, but there's one scene where I absolutely loved his performance during.
Yeah. And I like his stuff with, because you made fun of how bumbling Clark was in the first two and how he kind of just doesn't stand up for himself. There's a few parts in this one where when he's Clark, he actually does stand up for himself.
Yeah. And I actually really like his portrayal of Clark in this one. It feels a bit more like measured. It's like he still tries to be like small and like kind of hide and kind of be like, a meek, mild-mannered man.
Yeah, he's still not.
But he doesn't
over a few things, but
but he doesn't feel quite as bumbling as Superman 1 Clark Kent.
Like there's one part where they're at the bowling alley and he stands up to Brad a bit.
Yeah.
I like that. I like how he ends up like smashing all the bowling pins by sneezing. That was funny. But yeah, Richard Lester, he came back to direct, and you can definitely tell Richard Lester had more control over this one than the second one, because it is way goofier than the second movie.
Yeah.
Because, there's that opening, with the, oh my god, the opening. And also, this felt like it was trying to be a satire of corporations and taxes a bit, too.
Yeah.
Which was interesting. Like, Richard Pryor is, like, wondering why his paycheck isn't that big. And it's because the computers are, like, rigged to take away small amounts of money.
Yeah.
From the paycheck. And also another thing I noticed is, like, there's all these weird visual gags going on in the background. Like I feel like Richard Lester, he was trying to have something weird going on in the background during, like, almost every scene, and it just was really weird. There were some that just didn't make any sense, like one part at the Daily Planet where people are just tying their shoes in the background for some reason.
I don't think I saw that.
It didn't make any sense. It just...
Yeah, so after a pretty cataclysmic opening credit scene, where it looks like all of Metropolis is just falling apart at random, we get the scene of Richard Pryor's character being declined his welfare check.
Yeah, he's at the unemployment line.
And so eventually he gets a job working underneath some company that's owned by Webster, where, dissatisfied with the pay, he then, as an expert, hacks into the system and gives himself a much bigger check.
Yeah. I'm just still like, because again, they're like trying to show him as he's a bit of an idiot, but he's somehow able to hack into all this. Like, he ends up creating this big death computer, like, towards the end that almost kills everyone.
I love how at one point Webster, when he's talking, because, this is before Webster met Gus, Webster's just like, this man, he's probably smart, he's gonna come, like, conspicuously. And then it shows Gus showing up in a bright red sports car, not parking in a correct spot, just like in the middle of the road.
That's right. Yeah, very subtle entrance right there. Also, I noticed another thing about this is Jimmy Olsen gets a slightly bigger role in this one.
But only for, like, the first part of the movie.
Only for the beginning, though.
He just disappears afterwards.
But that's more than he got in the first two movies. So
true.
It kind of caught me a little off guard. Like,
I honestly thought he was going to be a main character, but, like, after the first few scenes, after the first few plot points, he disappears.
Yeah. Because, Clark, he goes to Smallville with Jimmy, and then there's that big fire.
Yeah, at a chemical plant.
Yeah, there's, like, acid there, and the acid, if it heats up, it'll, like, turn into gas, and it just eats through everything. And I like how Superman ends up, like, putting out the fire. He just freezes a lake and just carries the frozen lake over the top of the fire to put it out. I actually really liked that.
Yeah. I feel like that's cheating a little bit, though.
It's kind of ridiculous, but, I mean, I don't think it's that much more ridiculous than the scenes at the end of the first movie.
Yeah, where you fly around the sun or fly around the planet Earth, turn back time, and fix
No,
all
I
your
was
mistakes.
well, it is less ridiculous than that, but I was talking about like he's stopping earthquakes and stuff and like
Yeah.
lava and whatever. I don't think it really quite gets that ridiculous. Oh, I like Jimmy's line where he says, "Most of the people I went to high school with are still in high school." That was kind of... There's also
But
another
yeah,
part where Superman, I think he like flies down, like, and there's some firefighters, and he said, and one of them says, "Get this man a helmet." But then he like turns and realizes it's Superman and says, "Oh God, it's you. Forget the helmet." Thought that was kind of funny. But yeah, so the villain is Ross Webster, um, and he has two sisters in this.
wait, they're both his Okay, I knew like the older looking one was his sister.
I think they're both his
Are they?
sister. Both of them are his sisters, but I could be wrong. Vera and Laura Lee, I think. Is that what her name's pronounced?
Yeah. It looks like Laura Lee isn't. It looks like she's just his assistant. But Vera is. Yeah, Vera is.
Okay. Okay. Basically, they're supposed to replace Otis and Teschmacher,
Yep.
and I don't really know what I think of these two, honestly.
They're okay. They're there for the most part.
Because they don't really stand out as much to me.
They don't really do much until the end of the movie.
Yeah, because really the only one, like Laura Lee, I guess she's supposed to be like, she like kind of comes across as dumb and bumbling, but also she knows
But
a little bit more than she lets on.
yeah, like every now and again, all of a sudden she becomes just like super smart, and everyone's like, "What the hell was that?" And then they move on.
Like there's like that one part where they're like talking about like, oh, Superman is like weak to kryptonite, and then I think Ross like asks, how do you know that? And then he says, oh, I just know a few things.
Yeah. Also, that is actually one thing I wanted to mention. So during that scene where they're discussing how to take down Superman, how is it that Richard Pryor knows everything about the planet Krypton, where it was in space, and
He literally says, "Oh, I know a few things too." You know, there's something like that, which I'm just like, what? Like, they do mention that they read in an interview or something, so maybe that's how.
maybe
Because Superman does in the first movie, like, he does have that interview with Lois, and there's all that. But I don't know. I mean, also, is it just me, or are computers a huge part of the plot of this movie?
they're the central focus, and they're so powerful for like no reason.
Yeah, according to this movie, computers can do anything, basically. Like, just. They can control the weather. They can hack into oil tankers. Like, it's just.
Oh yeah, I love that part, by the way, where they hack into the oil tanker and try to send it a message saying "turn around," and the captain just says no, and then the movie goes on.
That was pretty funny, yeah.
Like, what was the point of that?
Also, another thing is, Laura Lee's voice kind of reminded me of Lena from Singing in the Rain a little bit.
Yeah, I can see that.
Just a little bit, yeah. That'd be a strange crossover.
That would be.
But yeah, this movie is just so strange with like how it keeps cutting back between these scenes of Clark and Richard Pryor.
Yeah.
The plot is kind of a mess in this one.
Yeah, it is. It's all over the place.
You're just because they're trying to do so many different things, and you're not all of them are succeeding. To be honest, but
most of them are failing. Yeah.
the movie just got so insane that like it's just like oh my gosh, like I'm trying to figure out what to even mention next. Okay, we mentioned the computer stuff.
As we had mentioned, they were talking about ways to defeat Superman, and one of them was use kryptonite. And because Gus knows exactly where in space kryptonite used to be, he could turn the satellite around and determine Krypton's composition to try and reverse engineer kryptonite. Except there's like I think it's like 0.8% unknown element, and so he just puts in the word tar because he's smoking like some brand of cigarettes called tar, and it creates this weird like bastardized version of
God.
kryptonite that instead of like
I was trying to wait to mention that part of the plot where it creates the because there are a few other things I wanted to mention. One was these are just a few of my inputs, but one was Clark. They're like on a picnic.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that scene.
Clark's like going through like the food. He like notices one. He's like, "Oh, it's pate." He like starts eating it.
Green stuff. And hey, pate. Boy, pate is really unusual.
I didn't make any. Oh, Clark, that's Buster's dog food.
I thought that part was funny. I don't.
Yeah.
And but there's one scene. It is so bizarre and so out of place. I have to mention it. Richard Pryor gets drunk with Brad
That scene.
while doing an accent and wearing an oversized cowboy hat like he's Turd Ferguson or something. And he basically used this as an opportunity to get into a computer.
In order to hack the weather
And
satellite.
he has to put 2 keys in at once as well, you know. But he can't put the 2 keys in at once, so he gets like the half passed out Brad to help him put
And don't forget the 2 appearances of a Kentucky Fried Chicken poster hanging in a broom closet.
Oh, I forgot about that, yeah. But just that image of him and Brad just getting drunk while he's wearing the cowboy hat. There's that like electronic country music playing. It's just so weird.
It's so weird.
It's so totally like inconsistent with just everything that I didn't know whether to laugh or just stare in disbelief at it. It just got it was so bizarre. And there's another scene where, you know, Ross is just up on top of a building or something. He's like skiing and whatnot. And then Richard Pryor shows up and he's describing how he saw Superman while wearing a pink table cover.
And then the end of that scene where he goes off
the
of
building on accident.
Yeah, okay, hold on. I feel
die.
I feel like we skipped over something important. Why on earth does Webster have, just on the top of his skyscraper, a ski slope set up? It's not a big ski slope. It's like 30 feet long.
Doesn't make any sense.
But he goes to the top of it and skis down it. Like, why?
I don't know. I too like to live dangerously.
Just a weird movie.
Yeah, he like uses they hack into a weather satellite which causes tornadoes and rainstorms in Colombia because he wants to destroy their coffee business or something. What? Like just. Oh, also, this is a minor detail. The computer misspelled received.
Did it?
They put the I before the E. Which that maybe.
That's pretty good.
Because, you know, computers can do anything. But yeah, it was so incongruous. Like, the plot of Clark doing that story and the plot of Ross Webster and Richard Pryor. I love how we've never called him his character's name. We've just been referring to him as Richard.
Yeah, we just call him Richard Pryor. So that's all he is, really.
But these plots don't intersect until, like, what, the halfway point?
Yeah, just about.
At least not until Superman, he, like, gets an award. Richard Pryor shows up in an army uniform and in this bizarre parody of the opening scene of Patton. He's like giving a speech on chemicals and plastics, and he gives Superman the kryptonite.
Which is a botched batch, because instead of weakening Superman, it makes him edgy and weird.
Evil. And this was probably my favorite part of the movie, was evil Superman.
It's so weird what he does when he's evil, too. He straightens the Leaning Tower of Pisa.
Blows out the Olympic
He blows
torch.
out the Olympic torch.
He destroys it. He, like, pokes a hole in an oil tanker. And he also starts acting really creepy towards Lana, which really puts her off. He goes to Laura Lee, for some reason, is on the top of the Statue of Liberty, and she tries to seduce Superman. Do you remember that part?
Yeah.
That was also really weird. It didn't make any sense. Why is she up? How did she get to the top of the Statue of Liberty, for one thing?
I don't think that's ever, like, mentioned at all. She's just kind of there.
She was just there. Oh my god, it reminded me of that scene from Batman Forever when Nicole Kidman was trying to seduce Batman.
Yeah, I don't like to think about that movie.
Okay. Okay, this is a much better movie than Batman Forever.
Yeah, it is a much, much better movie than Batman Forever. It's hard to be worse than Batman Forever.
Thank you for saying that, by the way. You got the oil tankers, like, just... But I want to talk more about evil Superman. He basically gets drunk. He goes to a bar and gets drunk. And I just love how he's just in that bar and like nobody's hassling him or anything. He's just sitting there. He starts flicking like cashews or something.
Yeah.
At a mirror, and the mirror like breaks or something. And then he's like trying to fly away, and what's that kid's name again? Ricky?
Oh yeah, Ricky.
Ricky like sees him and he's like,
Superman, you're just in a slump. You'll be great again.
Do you think the evil Superman in this movie was the inspiration for evil Spider-Man in Spider-Man 3?
I was going to ask, mention that actually. I was like thinking like, I was what? Well, except in the comics, though, Spider-Man does end up turning evil at one point.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was like wondering, because this is Superman 3, and that was Spider-Man 3. I was wondering if like there was some kind of connection there. Because his suit does become slightly darker.
Yeah, it does.
But then
this
we
whole
get my favorite scene in the whole movie. You probably know what I'm talking about.
I think so, because I think it's also my favorite
Clark
scene.
Kent ends up materializing in front of evil Superman in a junkyard after he looks like he's just been having this roaring headache or something when he's been flying through the air, and then they get in a fight in this junkyard.
I love it so much. It's my favorite scene in the whole movie.
It might be my favorite fight in this series, honestly, just because it is.
It's so good.
It's so bizarre and so like weird and.
Also, why does Superman? Why does he gain like a transatlantic accent during the fight?
I don't know. I love that scene though. He's like hitting him with that metal thing. He tries crushing Clark.
At one point, Clark throws evil Superman into a vat of acid, and it just does nothing.
He like blows the acid at him, and it like melts his like jacket.
Yeah.
That whole scene is just amazing. Like
it's my favorite scene. I love.
There's part of me that wishes just this whole movie was just like the main villain. I kind of wish they just made the main villain the evil version of Superman.
I mean, what you could do is just make Bizarro the villain, because that's basically what Bizarro is just evil Superman.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, because it was like Lex Luthor tried cloning Superman, but it didn't quite go right, and so his moral compass is off.
It doesn't make any sense either. Like, just why does it turn him evil? How does Clark like manifest in front of him, and like just because then he like because it ends with Clark like regaining his Superman powers and like choking him, and he just disappears. Which I'm like, what? Like what? Ugh. But we have to talk about that ending. The ending of this movie.
Oh boy.
The
ending is like the cherry on
It
top
is
for
the
the
most-
entire rest of this Psycho Fest.
the like the
So at some point,
thing is so insane because you have they have a base in the Glen Canyon, not the Grand Canyon, the Glen Canyon.
the Glen Canyon,
Which is that a real?
it might be.
Is that a real place?
The-
Or did they just? Is that I don't know.
I don't know. It's a
But
real
basically,
place.
they start shooting missiles at Superman, but they're playing this video game that's like,
Well, okay, don't forget they had Gus build, Richard Pryor. They had him build this massive supercomputer that could just do anything.
yeah, that we'll get to that. But I want to talk about this part first. You have them playing this video game of missiles being fired at Superman while they're firing missiles at Superman. It's just, what?
It's so
I
weird.
don't even know how to comment on that part. Oh man.
And so they get the supercomputer fired up.
Yeah.
And then it figures out what the unknown element was and can just recreate kryptonite no problem. It just, points it at Superman, and then everyone's cheering except for Richard Pryor, who starts suddenly feeling guilty
That's
about
another
all
thing,
this.
is like Richard Pryor, like he clearly knows that Ross Webster's an evil dude
Yeah.
and that he's like greedy. He doesn't care about anybody, basically. Yet he's surprised about all this. I mean,
Let's think about this, too. He feels bad about killing Superman, but doesn't feel bad about destroying Columbia with, like, the worst weather storm imaginable.
exactly. They like trap Superman in this bubble thing for a bit. That was weird.
Yeah.
Do you remember that part?
Yeah.
And also another weird thing that happens is Vera gets trapped in the computer and
that
turned into
was
a
some actual, like,
cyborg and starts
body
shooting
horror.
lasers at them.
I saw that and I was like, what is happening? Why is she turning into a cyborg?
Which again,
What?
I almost wish that was like a main villain.
The main
just this
villain,
robot.
exactly.
Yeah.
Like,
She doesn't really do much after that, but it is so
Yeah.
bizarre. And
I had read that Richard Donner's like original vision for like sequels to Superman 2 involved using Brainiac. And I wonder if this is like what became of that idea.
that might be, yeah. But another thing I've noticed is like I've seen a couple of reviews of this movie, and sometimes people point out that this scene actually gave a lot of kids nightmares.
I can see that. I can honestly see
Because you
that.
look at the rest of the movie, it's so jovial and like goofy and lighthearted, and then there's this scene just thrown in there for this weird messed up.
It's so detailed and it's so well done. It's like, why? What? Why was this scene thrown in there? It adds nothing in the end either. Like, she's gone within like a minute.
She basically just falls into the computer and just blows up, and nothing
Yeah.
comes of it. And then Superman, that was another thing. Superman like deflects the laser with his hand, which that kind of reminded me of Attack the Clones.
Yeah.
Yoda like deflects the Force lightning. That
I was thinking like Empire when Darth Vader deflects Han Solo's blaster bolt.
Oh yeah, it's kind of I kind of like that. Yeah, we would be honored if you would join us. But yeah,
And so Superman finally defeats the supercomputer by going back to
Oh wait,
Chekhov's
another thing I
gun.
forgot to mention is when Richard Pryor starts realizing what's going on, like the computer's like attacking Superman, he like can't get out. He just takes this axe and starts destroying the computer
Yeah.
with it. Like, that's something you would never think you would see in a Superman movie. Richard Pryor, like,
Richard Pryor with an axe destroying a computer.
to save Superman.
Yeah.
Oh man. There's like one brief part where there was like a rock moving or something, and for a second I thought Superman was gonna fight a rock monster, which that would have pushed that climax even more over the top.
Even further.
And it was already really over the top. My god. Just that ending, like, oh my god, like, what? But, yeah, he ends up defeating them.
By going back and grabbing some of the acid from the very beginning of the movie and heating it inside the computer.
I do kind of like that, actually, that they
Yeah.
referred back to what happened in the beginning of the movie instead of just throwing it away. Because it actually kind of felt like, okay, there was a reason for that scene to exist, you know?
You know what they could have done?
What?
They could have had Superman fly around the Earth and reverse time and
Oh
just
my
prevent it all from
God.
happening again.
Oh, yeah. Let's do that again, like we did in the first movie and in the Richard Donner cut of the second.
Yeah, the second. We need that to be the ending to every single Superman movie.
Oh my gosh. So yeah, that was a weird climax.
Yeah.
Very weird, very insane. And the whole movie is like just already kind of
It's
crazy.
bizarre.
And then it just
It's
builds
so
up to
weird.
that. I do find it kind of weird how this is a little off topic, but Lana, like, she doesn't suspect that Clark is Superman.
Yeah.
Even though he keeps saying, "Oh, we're like really good friends." Or
Yeah, we're
something
best
like that.
buds. I'm never going to be in the same room as them. Just ignore that.
Like, what? Like,
I feel like it was pretty obvious at like the very end when he has dinner with Lara and with
Lana
what's his name? Oh, Lana
and
and
Ricky.
with
Ricky.
Yep, with Lana and Ricky. Like he's like, "Oh, Superman can't come, but I'm here."
And he also beats
Yeah.
up Brad basically with like almost no
Yeah.
effort. He like he like trips over like a table or something and gets thrown out of the room and into an elevator or something. Is that what happens? I think
I think so.
it was so weird. Oh, but then there is a scene after that because they're at the Daily Planet and you see Lois Lane again.
Yep.
Yep, Margot Kidder is back for her second scene in the third movie. And she, in the previous scene, Clark gave a ring to Lana, and Lois is a little jealous of this, apparently.
Yep.
Nothing ever comes of this, by the way.
Of course not. Why would anything come of it?
And I feel like that was a huge missed opportunity for the fourth one, because, like, I kind of wish they'd done more with that.
Yeah.
If they brought, like, I wish they brought Lana Lang back and, like, had that whole dynamic where she likes Clark but not Superman, but Lois likes Superman but not Clark, which this is gonna cause a bit of confusion, but no, they don't do that. They don't do that.
Nope.
Well, they kind of do a little bit, but with a completely different character. And then at the very, very end of the movie, Superman does a very important thing. He fixes the Leaning Tower of Pisa.
And in the process makes the one trinket salesman very upset.
Yeah, because the trinket salesman, because he straightened it out earlier, and then he had to, like, So he was like selling a bunch of like straightened out Leaning Tower pieces. But then, because he leaned it back, he's like, great. And he just destroys all of them.
See, what I love about that scene is he turns to the other guy who's like sweeping. He asks him for his broom. He then, gets handed the broom. He tells the guy thank you in Italian and then destroys everything in his shop.
I thought that scene was really funny.
And then that's basically just the end of the movie. Superman flies off.
It is bonkers. It is totally
it's such
bonkers.
a weird movie.
But I kind of like it. I don't like it as much as the first two, though. Definitely not. But it's
enjoyable.
It is enjoyable, but it's not as good as the first. The only thing I think that this one improves on from the first two is I think this has the best flying scenes of the series. I think the flying scenes never looked better than they did in this one.
Yeah.
You can tell that the special effects have advanced since the first movie came out. But aside from that, even the music score was a bit of a downgrade because they couldn't get John Williams back. They couldn't get Ken Thorne back, so they got Giorgio Moroder to do the music.
I mean, for me, the music was mostly just, forgettable outside of, like, the main theme. Like, I really don't remember any of the songs from this movie.
There was that really bad synthesizer country music. That was just, I didn't like that.
Yeah.
But aside from that, it was just a kind of, like, it was okay. It wasn't, like, anything special.
Yeah. Like, I might watch this again in the future. Probably not anytime soon, but, if I ever decide to watch the Superman films again, maybe.
But yeah, I was surprised, though, because I went into this one with low expectations, but ended up enjoying it just because it is so weird, so bizarre, and just... Like, because I just remember watching it, and I was, like, thinking, there's just something engaging about just, even, like, some of the worst parts, like, you're just, like...
Yeah, it's just, like, what is happening?
Basically, yeah.
Who was given this much control of the movie?
Because, and again, I'll point out, I'm not really a Superman expert or anything, so... I bet people who are really, really into Superman probably hate this movie.
Probably. I have a friend who's like way into comic books. He won't even watch any of the Superman movies past Superman 2.
I can understand that, yeah. Oh, there was one part I forgot. When Clark, like Lana, she's like, it seems like she's gonna say something really important to Clark, and and then all she says is, "Clark, may I tell you something? My oil pan is leaking." Because the car, like, the oil's leaking out of the car. I thought that was kind of funny. I'm trying to remember what the... Oh, I think it's after, like, all the tornadoes and stuff happened. And rain and somebody, like, comes into the Daily Planet. I think they're, like, talking about it or something. And was it Perry White or something? He, like, said it wasn't our fault. It was an act of God. And then the person says, "In a church?"
Church?
I thought that was kind of funny.
Yeah.
I wish I could remember the exact context of that line. I also like how Ross, like, he just keeps calling Richard Pryor old buddy, old pal.
Yeah.
And I like the chemistry between Richard Pryor and Ross Webster.
I like the chemistry between Richard Pryor and every other character in the movie. Like, honestly, he's the highlight of the movie.
Oh, really? The highlight of the movie for me is Evil Superman, but...
No, I think my favorite character is by far Richard Pryor.
Really?
Yeah. Just so weird to watch. He feels out of place in every single scene he's in. It's like they actually just threw Richard Pryor in there. He didn't know what was happening.
Basically, yeah. It's like if Richard Pryor just wandered onto the set of a Superman movie and all they really told him was just keep your antics PG level, and you'll be fine. Because if you watch Richard Pryor's stand up, very, very not PG. Although they do include a rape joke in this movie, which would not be PG today, I guess.
Nope.
Because this was 1983, so PG-13 wasn't a
thing yet.
Yeah. I do like that one part where Richard Pryor he's like trying to find Ross, and he's like looking around like, Mr. Webster, and then he's like over in another part of the room, like far away.
Mr. Webster, I did not... Mr. Webster.
Mr. August Gorman?
Sir, August Gorman here. Listen, I know that you're a man of compassion and you have pity.
It's so strong. In fact, he's just over in another part of the room, sitting in a chair.
So, with some kind of behind-the-scenes stuff...
I do have some trivia pulled up.
It looks like everyone hated the fact that Richard Donner wasn't connected to this movie.
Yeah, basically.
Because that's the reason why Lois wasn't really in it. Christopher Reeve was threatening to leave production.
I do have some more about that.
Just because he didn't want to, work with someone who wasn't Richard Donner, but also because the script was awful in his opinion.
Yeah. I do have a little bit more about some of this stuff, by the way. But we'll start with, this was the first Superman film nominated for Razzies.
Oh, good. What awards was it nominated for?
Richard Pryor was nominated for Worst Supporting Actor.
Okay.
But lost to Jim Nabors for Stroker Ace. So Richard Pryor and Gomer Pyle both nominated for Razzies the same year. That's
pretty good.
And Worst Musical Score for Giorgio Moroder, who lost.
Really?
He lost to... Both of these lost. He lost to The Lonely Lady, which... Don't ever watch that movie, by the way. I'm not even lying. That is one of the worst movies I have ever seen. But I feel like the Razzies really did not like Giorgio Moroder, because this was not his only Razzie nomination, because he got a few others, in fact. They tended to just not like synthesizer scores, in fact, I've noticed. Because the year before this, actually, John Carpenter's The Thing got a Razzie nomination for Worst Musical Score. I don't know if you knew that or not.
I did not.
Which surprises me, because I think the score to that movie is really good.
Yeah.
It's really creepy. But I don't know. Some critical reviews of this movie. Leonard Maltin hated it. He gave it 1.5 stars, calling it an appalling sequel that trashed everything that Superman was about for the sake of cheap laughs and a co-starring role for Richard Pryor. I want to point out, though, this is the same guy who thought Batman Forever was the best of the first 4 Batman movies.
That's interesting.
Because you could literally take some of those criticisms and, you could
directly apply them
slightly and apply it to Batman Forever. Appalling sequel that trashed everything that Batman was about for the sake of cheap laughs and a co-starring role for Tommy Lee Jones. Or something like that. I don't know. Siskel and Ebert were not impressed either. Ebert gave it 2.5 out of 4 stars. He found parts of it fun, but thought it was too simple-minded and didn't care for the relationship between Clark Kent and Lana. He was also disappointed that there wasn't as much of a focus on the difference between Clark Kent and Superman like the previous 2.
Clark Kent's really not in this movie. I think he's in, Superman mode for most of it, isn't he?
I felt like there was more of Clark Kent in this than Superman.
Really?
Because there's so many scenes of him with Lana.
I guess, but I don't really remember.
But I don't know.
I don't remember much of Clark doing anything.
I guess plot-wise. Gene Siskel found it boring and thought Richard Pryor was wasted, thinking his character should have been a bit more evil.
That would be interesting to see.
Richard Pryor was actually paid more than Christopher Reeve on this film.
Really?
Pryor was paid $5 million, which was $1 million more than Reeve was.
Huh.
He admitted that he only did the movie for the money because he thought the script was terrible, although he was a Superman fan.
Huh.
Because apparently what happened is, I think he was cast because he was on the Johnny Carson show, and during the interview segment, Pryor told Carson he wanted to be in a Superman movie. He later said he was joking, but the film producers apparently thought he was like serious about it, and that's how he ended up in the movie.
Huh.
And apparently he didn't like doing the flying scenes because he was scared of heights.
Is that kind of why they had the character also be afraid of heights?
It might have been. It might have been. He also was disappointed about how comedic it was because he wanted to play more serious parts in movies. After Margot Kidder expressed her disgust about the firing of Richard Donner to the producers, her role was cut to 12 lines and less than 5 minutes of screen time.
That's impressive. We just gotta completely throw her out.
In the film's DVD commentary, Ilya Salkind says there was little need for Lois Lane in this movie because her relationship with Superman ended at the end of Superman 2.
Huh.
Which, I mean...
Fair, but...
I mean, I don't know. Okay, here's an interesting one. Christopher Reeve threatened not to return for this film to protest Richard Donner's firing and because he hated the script. With the film already in pre-production, the producers scrambled to find an actor to play Superman. John Travolta was approached, but declined.
Good.
Jeff Bridges and Kurt Russell were also considered, but they weren't interested.
Kurt Russell would be a weird Superman.
I'm trying to imagine that, because, like, would he be more like Snake Plissken or more like Jack Burton from Big Trouble in Little China?
I'm honestly imagining him as Snake Plissken as Superman.
Man. He would be
That
perfect
would
to
be
play
weird.
evil Superman, then.
Yeah.
Jeff Bridges, I honestly kind of want to see a movie of Jeff Bridges as Superman.
I cannot imagine him as Superman.
He kind of played Superman in Starman a little bit.
I guess.
He played an alien in that. You know what'd be really funny, though, is if he played Superman like he was the dude in The Big Lebowski.
Stoner Superman.
Like, so they're like, shows him the kryptonite. He says, "Oh, here's a little gift from your home planet," and then Superman just says, "Yeah, well, you know, that's just like your opinion, man." But they weren't cast because they weren't interested. I still kind of want to see Jeff Bridges as Superman. That would be hilarious.
Oh, that'd be so weird.
A few days before filming was set to begin, the Salkinds settled on the worst possible choice, Tony Danza, as Clark Kent / Superman. That's the worst possible choice. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Richard Lester was mortified with the casting of Danza and pleaded for Reeve to return. Reeve eventually agreed if he was allowed to change the script. The producers agreed. That's one popular rumor. Another is once Reeve found out Danza was lined up to replace him, he quickly got intimidated, having assumed the movie would be canceled without his participation, and at that point Reeve relented.
Huh.
I feel like Reeve did not get much input on the script, so...
Yeah.
He did with the next one, though. A little
Really?
bit. A little bit.
Hmm.
At least with some of the story, but we'll get to that. When it was first revealed to producers that Lana Lang would be a single mother, a comic book was quickly written explaining how Lana came to be in that situation.
Huh. Don't want to hear about that in the movie, apparently.
Apparently not. Annette O'Toole, who played Lana Lang, later played Clark Kent's mother Martha on the show Smallville.
I think I knew that.
That's kind of interesting, actually. And I think a lot of cast members from these movies were brought back for that show.
For later. Huh.
Christopher Reeve was not happy with the film and often expressed in interviews that he hated how it turned out. He initially swore never to play the role again. He was persuaded to make Superman 4: The Quest for Peace in exchange for more input on the script. And we'll get to Superman 4 at some point.
Oh boy, I'm afraid to see that one. Because like we had two good movies, and then we had this one, and now it's just gonna go downhill from there.
A lot of people don't even like this one. I mean, I'm surprised I liked it. I'm surprised you liked it, actually.
I mean, it's not a good movie, but it's a fun movie.
It's
at the very
entertaining,
least.
yeah. I guess I can't really make an argument for it being, like, a forgotten masterpiece for anything, but I can make an argument that there's enough good elements in it that I don't think it deserves quite as much of a thrashing.
Yeah.
I mean, just you have evil Superman, for one thing. I mean, come on. Although I do kind of wish they'd done a little bit more with that. The character of Mr. Mixie Spitlick was going to be in the film.
Yeah, it's a Spitlick.
How is it pronounced?
Oh, let me look it up. It's been a while since I've seen the show.
But he was supposed to be in this, played by Dudley Moore.
Huh.
Oh, that would have also... Imagine Dudley Moore and Richard Pryor in a Superman movie.
So it's Mixie Spitlick.
Mixie... Could you say that again?
Mixie Yes Pitlick. Mixie Pitlick.
Mixie Spitlick. Okay, that's a weird name. Yeah, he was supposed to be in the movie. I'll be honest, I'm not familiar. I'm not that familiar with that character. Could you tell me a little bit about?
Yeah, so at least in the animated series, he's kind of like this small. I mean, in the animated series, he was first of all played by Gilbert Gottfried, which is just fantastic. But he's basically like this small dude that has like magic powers that he can use just to basically just change reality as he sees fit.
Oh.
And so he sees Superman, and he's like, "Hey, this guy could be a worthy opponent." And so he basically enters in this game with Superman, where Superman has to get him to say his name backwards. And then to get rid of him.
Huh. That sounds like it'd be
Just
very difficult to say his name backwards.
Yeah.
But that character was supposed to be in this, played by Dudley Moore. Apparently.
That'd be interesting.
Dudley Moore is a shorter guy, so I can kind of see.
Yeah.
But he was also more known for doing comedies, so that also would have been a little weird. Brainiac and Supergirl were going to be in the story as well.
That would have been interesting.
Obviously jettisoned. I'm trying to remember, which one's Brainiac again?
So he's kind of like this Kryptonian supercomputer.
They basically
So
are.
actually, it's very similar to what we got, except the computer itself like doesn't really have a personality in this.
They basically already did that in this movie, you know.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, magic computers. Yeah. Because, computers can do anything. Yeah, Supergirl wasn't included, which, well, okay, Supergirl is in another movie that came out the year after this. So, I guess they sort of did that.
Yeah.
Didn't really have any of the same cast, except for Jimmy Olsen,
Yeah.
briefly. And
That's everyone's favorite character.
And yeah, exactly. And a poster of Superman. Here's Reeves Superman. I don't even know. I can't even remember if they had the same producers for that one. They had a different director, different writers, basically different everything except like.
Huh.
Yeah, that's weird. But I guess it counts as a spin-off of these movies.
Yeah. Yeah.
The scenes in which Superman straightens the Leaning Tower of Pisa and then leans it back in the end were originally planned for Superman 2. Apparently.
How would that have fit into Superman 2? I'm trying to think at what point.
The Kryptonians.
Oh!
That might have been
makes
part
sense.
of that whole, like, part where they're just...
Yeah.
That unfilmed part that they never got around to, where they're just...
That does make
destroying a bunch
sense.
of monuments. That might have been it. According to the producer's commentary on the DVD, this film was not a flop. Critics and fans generally expressed disappointment with it, and its $60 million gross fell short of the previous two movies' gross, but it still made a profit despite competition from Return of the Jedi, which opened 3 weeks earlier, and Octopussy, which opened 10 days earlier.
That's a busy time for, like, the movie theater. Holy shit.
That's not even the only third movie in a series that came out, like, during that time, because Jaws 3, I think, also came out.
Well, I highly doubt Jaws 3 took any seats away from any of those movies.
I don't know how much Jaws 3 made. But I think we can agree, though, Superman 3 is a much better third movie than Jaws 3.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard to be
Jaws 3D,
worse than Jaws 3.
Well, unless you're Jaws 4, The Revenge. Jaws 3D actually made more money than Superman 3.
Really?
$88 million.
Oh, that's sad.
Must have been the 3D gimmick.
Yeah.
The original title was Superman versus Superman.
I mean, I guess, but, like, that's such a small part of the film.
I wish that had been a bigger part of the movie. Superman goes through this weird Jekyll and Hyde thing. The producers of Kramer versus Kramer, the clear competition of the Superman movies, threatened to sue, refusing to believe the Salkinds explanation that it was intended as a play on various Superman versus comic stories. Because again, Kramer versus Kramer has everything to do with Superman, obviously.
I mean, why wouldn't Superman try to knock off Kramer versus Kramer?
Yeah, don't you?
I don't see any reason why those two things should be ever disconnected.
Yeah, I mean, don't you remember that Superman comic where he has to be part of a child custody case? I mean, and Dustin Hoffman and Meryl Streep are in it for some reason.
That's so weird.
Eventually, Pierre Spengler suggested that Superman 3 would be a more sensible title anyway, and the issue was dropped. Sorry, what were you going to say?
Oh, I don't even think I had anything. I don't remember.
Oh, shit.
I think it was still probably just me making fun of whoever decided that, hey, these people making a Superman movie, they're trying to rip us off.
Kramer versus Superman.
That'd be the plot twist. Superman gets custody.
I do remember seeing a parody poster. It was like Alien versus Predator versus Kramer or something.
That's the real crossover I've been waiting for.
Yeah. Or if it was, or Kramer versus Kramer, but it's Kramer from Seinfeld. According to the writers, the original choice to play Ross Webster was Alan Alda.
Okay.
Which that would not have fit. Let's get yet another comedian to be a Superman villain. You know who should play a Superman villain? Oh yeah, that guy from MASH. That's who should be in
Perfect
a Superman
choice.
movie. They want an actor who could be ruthless without losing any charm. Executive producer Ilya Salkind said in the DVD commentary that his first choice was Frank Langella, which that would have been interesting.
Yeah.
He actually later played Perry White in Superman Returns.
Huh.
So he did end up in a Superman movie. Later on. And you haven't seen Superman Returns, I assume.
Not yet. I still have to get through Superman 4.
A funny story. I do actually. Well, I'll save that for when we actually do the podcast. I just had a little funny story about it that I might bring up. A poster for Blade Runner can be seen in the background of the junkyard fight scene when Clark is throwing tires at Superman.
Huh.
I did not notice this.
You can think about watching a better movie while watching this movie.
You know, yeah, I like Superman 3, but yeah, I'd rather watch Blade Runner. You know, it's too bad she won't live. Then again, who does? It's a great movie. But yeah. What if they had Harrison Ford as the villain in this movie? Or no,
That would change the tone.
or no, better, Rucker Hauer.
Oh, there we go.
Superman versus Roy from Blade Runner. That would be great. Pamela Stevenson modeled Laura Lee after Marilyn Monroe.
I can see that.
Kinda can, yeah.
Kind of like a bad parody of Marilyn Monroe.
Kinda, yeah. That would have been really funny if she started singing or something. The year the film is set in is very inconsistent. The year on Gus Gorman's checks/certificates read 1983. The 20th high school reunion makes it appear to be 1985, as it
But
reads
hold on.
class of 1965. The Olympics appearing
Yeah,
to
I was
be
about to
summer.
mention the Olympics
should
happen
be
every 4
happening.
years.
The Olympics appearing to be summer should be happening in 1984. So, how do we explain this one? I don't know.
The Superman time traveled. That's how we explain.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I guess he did time travel. So maybe he messed up.
He messed up the timeline. No one knows what year it is
You
anymore.
know what? I actually would be a little more. I think we would be a little bit more forgiving of that time travel thing if they brought it up in a later one. Like maybe the fourth one, if they had it so like that event had somehow caused just this rip, and now everything's all crazy or something.
Yeah.
Or maybe that's why this movie is so crazy. Because instead, it's set at... Oh, I just came up with something. This is like some alternate universe, and instead of Lex Luthor, you have Ross Webster. And instead of Lois Lane, you have Lana Lang. And who's Richard Pryor replacing? Is he replacing Otis, I guess?
I don't think Richard Pryor is replacing anyone. I think he just is.
No, yeah, you're right.
He's just a universal constant.
Nobody replaces Richard Pryor. Richard Pryor just is Richard Pryor. Apparently Frank Oz had a cameo in the movie.
Huh.
But it was left on the cutting room floor. Although it was included in the TV version. Because, TV... Back then, TV versions, they would sometimes add in some deleted scenes. Because they want to make more money off the advertisements. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, hey, deleted scene. Richard Donner wanted to do a Superman movie with Brainiac in it, but of course, that didn't happen. It kind of did, I guess.
Almost. We were like a step away from it.
Because, you know, computers can do anything. At least according to this movie.
So, Superman 3, overall, really strange movie.
Yeah.
Like, absolutely bizarre movie.
Yep.
I'm still processing what it was I just watched.
It is probably the weirdest Superman movie. It's probably the weirdest one.
Yeah. But at the same time, it's also pretty fun throughout.
It's enjoyable.
It doesn't take itself too seriously.
Like, we haven't mentioned...
we have to get it in.
we have to wrap up Man of Steel real quick.
We forgot to mention how could we forget about Man of Steel, the pinnacle of Superman movies.
Remember all the great Richard Pryor scenes in Man of Steel?
That would have made the movie better if Gus was in Man of Steel.
They would have had to recast him though, because Richard Pryor died.
True. Tell me they couldn't have just digitally added Gus from this movie into Man of Steel.
Oh wait, I thought of get Samuel L. Jackson to play Gus. There we go.
Perfect casting. Anyway,
that would have been fun. Yeah, Superman 3. I like it. I don't like it as much as the first two, but it's an enjoyable movie. It's weird. It's kind of fun. You know, the tone is all over the place, and half the time I don't even know what's going on. But there was just some point in the movie where I was watching it and just... Because at the beginning I was like trying to process what was going on. I didn't know what to make of it at first, but then there just came a point where I just... The inanity of the whole thing just won me over.
Yeah. Don't forget that random scene of body horror thrown in there.
Yeah, the cyborg thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was really weird. Also, you have evil Superman. You know, that's always fun.
Yeah.
And, of course, this movie taught us the important lesson that, you know, computers can do anything.
Anything.
Anything. Like, just...
So, that concludes Superman 3. Next time, we will be looking at a much scarier movie. Superman 4, The Quest for Peace.
I don't know if I'd call it scary.
It scares me, that's for sure.
It is definitely the worst of the first four, though. I will say that. Definitely. I'd have to rewatch a few other ones to decide if it's the worst of all the Superman movies. But of the ones I've rewatched, it's pretty bad. Oh, it's also the only Superman movie with a title besides the title. Because it's Superman 4, The Quest for Peace.
Oh yeah, it's got a subtitle.
They also waited a bit, because the first one came out in 1978. Then the next one came out in 1980. The third one came out in 1983. And then 1987.
That is a pretty big time gap.
I guess Supergirl was thrown in there, though, 1984, so 3 years. But, yeah, that is a gap. And it also ended Superman movies for a while. Because they didn't make one until Superman Returns, which was almost 20 years later.
Yeah.
And we'll find out why. Eventually.
All right, well, we will continue then.